And Lord Jesus Christ, our Lord, be with you all. But a theme that ties a lot of readings, a lot of things that we'll be doing together seems to be water. And one of the most marvelous verse in the gospel lesson that we have just read was Jesus said to the woman from Samaria, he said, anyone who drinks from this normal Jacob's well will be thirsty again. However, anyone who would receive the gift from me, that's living water. That's the water that would make you never thirsty again. And in fact, when you have that water will become a well in you, gushing up into life eternal. Powerful statement. I read this lesson many, many times through the years and often wonder, what does it look like? What does it feel like to be able to receive that living water? After all, that living water is for us all. I think we actually have found evidence of that or a description of that in this text. The woman from Samaria, the one whom Jesus talked to, was very subdued and timid at the beginning. And then through her conversation with Jesus, she was a little bit testy. She was unsure. She tried to test Jesus. But towards the end, as we have read, she said, you must be the Messiah. And after that, when the disciples came back, she left her bucket by the well and rushed back to town and told everyone, Messiah is here. The Messiah here is the man who talked to me. He must be the Messiah, isn't he? He knew everything that I have done. So this woman has received the living water. But the question that I have always been struggling is, what is the content? What is the content of the gift that Jesus used that beautiful imagery to describe the well of water that's gushing up into eternal life? As I was preparing for the sermon last night, a word that came to me was freedom. Freedom. The content of this living water, given the context of this passage, is freedom. It's a freedom that helps us to break through many shackles and debilitating boundaries that hold us back in our lives. Well, the more I read the passage, this long, long passage, the more I realized there are many communal, social, personal, and spiritual boundaries and shackles in this passage. At the beginning of the encounter of Jesus and woman from Samaria, the woman said to Jesus, she said, how do you, as a Jew, ask for water from me, a woman of Samaria? Just think about this simple question. I mean, do we say something like that from people who ask us of anything on the street? Somebody may ask you, "Oh, can I look at your time?" Would you say to that person, "How do you ask me for time?" We don't do that, right? So that simple question really lays out the many levels of boundaries and shackles and discriminations and prejudice that is inside this story. And all those boundaries and all those prejudices really came from the horrible relationship between the Jews and the Samaritans. Again, as I prepare for the sermon, I want to Google a little bit more about Samaritans, so I put down Samaritan or Samaritans, and I click Google, and voila, 23.7 million returns in 0.62 seconds. I did not read through 23 million, okay? And a lot of times when Samaritan is brought up, the word good is tied to Samaritan. As if Samaritan is always good. Well, I think they are. But in Jesus' time, Samaritan was anything but good. In fact, we might remember some of the terrible things that the supporters of both of our presidential candidates to shout at one another last year. Did you remember that? Those nightmares that we had last year? I think about those, and in fact, one that was an unfortunate comment from Hillary Clinton to Trump supporters was deplorable. Remember that scenario? I'm not going to talk about politics here, but I just want to bring you to that contentious, we remember the contentiousness of our election last year and times 10 or 100 to the relationship between the Jews and the Samaritans. And in fact, I want to use one word that I should not use in sermons, and I might be flogged by the bishop for using such a word, to be used probably by the Jews or for the Samaritan neighbors back in Jesus' time. The word is bastard. In their eyes, in the eyes of the Jews, and Jesus' followers, many of them were Jewish, they were no good. Well, part of it is the Jews and the Samaritans share the same ancestry, same David and Solomon, and so they have the same DNA in some ways. However, after Solomon, the two parts kind of went different ways. Jews in Jesus' time claimed that they are the pure Jewish folks, and they thought that the Samaritan brothers and sisters to the north, they were impure because they mixed the Jewish blood with other blood. So that's just one thing. And the other thing is, even though religiously speaking, they worship the same God, they have the same Bible, if you will, with some or the differences, Jews claim that worship is valid only in Jerusalem. However, Samaria said that no. Worship is valid only in the mountain up north. And then other things too. In the first centuries, during the first centuries, Jews thought that Samaritan women were impure. How terrible it is! They were enemies. They felt that they have the right to dehumanize and objectify one another. If that's not bad enough, comes the stigma. Remember, during one of the most important conversations between Jesus and the Samaritan the woman was so happy, and she said, I want the living water. Not only that, I really want that. And Jesus says to her, well, then bring your husband here. And then the woman said, oh, I don't have a husband. And then Jesus said, well, you're right. You don't have a husband now, but you have had 5 husbands. And the one you are staying with now is not your husband. Even in 2017, in a fairly open and accepting societies like most places in America, a person with that kind of history probably would raise many, many eyebrows. It's difficult. Now, having 5 husbands does not necessarily mean that this woman is immoral. In Jesus' time, for Jews anyway, there's a custom that, if somebody, if there are many brothers in a family, if one brother died, then other brothers have the obligation to take his widow as his own wife, to take care of her. So that could be, it could well be that this woman has such bad luck. She married to this family, and all 5 brothers have died. That could have been possible. But regardless, could you imagine the stigma that the society had put on her? That woman, either she like a poison man, or like to come with big curses, or she's immoral. You name it. Stigma. Do we know families and friends or ourselves or people who carry stigma by society? And I've learned that, just from we probably have known that a lot of people with mental diseases and with addictions feel that sense of stigma to the point where they could not openly share who they are, what kind of sufferings that they have. And particularly with people with depression, sadly, many of them, because of the stigma, would not seek help and ended up committing suicide. So the day when this woman encounters Jesus, if you read the text, the passage carefully, she went at noon. Nobody in the right mind would go to carry waters at noon. You know why? Because It's too hot. And oftentimes, women would not just carry water by herself, one person. They would go as groups, either in the morning or in the afternoon. It's a communal thing. It still happens these days in some of the developing countries. But this woman, because of the social stigma, because of those barriers and shackles and discriminations and prejudice that imposed on her, probably it was filled with shame, guilt, and fear, and all those kinds of feelings, so she went there by herself. The good news is Jesus does not treat her. Jesus does not deal with the stigma that society imposed on her, like many people would have done in this society. In our society, in societies from the beginning of history. Several things really stick with my mind as I was reading this passage about what Jesus has done. First of all, Jesus did not avoid the Samaritans. Now, at the beginning of the passage, it says that Jesus really had to go through Samaritan, traveling from Judea to Galilee, from the south to the north. Well, that's not true. Jesus had other route. Even though he had no Google Maps, he knows what to do. But Jesus intentionally walked through areas where Jews and Samaritans do not get along. He intentionally engaged the people in Samaria, and he intentionally reaches out to this woman. The woman the society has a problem with. And even if you look at the conversation that they have together, Jesus never talks down to this woman. Jesus allows this woman to ask questions and raise objections. And that's not always true back then in a very patriarchal society where men had the right to treat women differently. But the most important part to me was how Jesus treats this woman about something that he knows, that she has had 5 husbands. I have a feeling that, what we have read here is not the entire conversation. There may be more. But one thing we do know, after Jesus identified the fact that this woman has 5 husbands, the woman's response was, "You must be a prophet." Not in anger, not in fear, but in relief. Something has happened in that dialogue. Something has happened. When in any time when men and women alone in that kind of setting, something wrong could have happened. Particularly, it's the situations when a dominant man with a very vulnerable woman. We read all those stories. Sometimes men will use the vulnerability of the women to fulfill some of his unwanted needs and even push buttons and all those things. Or he could bully this woman and say, "Please bring out enough water to help me and my disciples." So Jesus could have used the vulnerability of this woman for his own gain. That's not the case. That's not the case. I do not know how that conversation was, but the dialogue reminds me of a story that I heard from one of my colleagues recently. Pastor Al Starr is the director of multicultural ministry of the ELCA. We work in the same unit, and I've known him for a long time, so I saw him from time to time. He told me a story when he served in South Central Los Angeles as a pastor at Ascension Lutheran Church a few years back. And the time was about September, time that kids went back to school. Pastor Starr received a phone call from one of his parishioners. It's a mother with a young child. Her child was at school, elementary school, and beginning of the school and whatnot, and her child was taken to the principal's office and was very angry, but nobody knew why. Well, Pastor Starr went to the school, and then as it turned out, the mother was there, and then of course in the principal's office, and then there was the teacher was there also. By the way, the teacher was a new teacher. Well, then he learned that the teacher asked the students to write about their summer experience. The topic of the writing is, what did you do this last summer? With this child, let's call him Ron. Rodney refused to write anything. And then the teacher really tried and said, well, Rodney, just write something. Well, what did you do over the summer? You have done something, and what did you do? And Rodney got really angry and began to kick the desk and whatnot and created a scene. And again, she's a new teacher, so the teacher did not know what to do. And the next thing she knew was to take Rodney to the principal's office. And so Pastor arrived and they talked and we still couldn't get to the bottom of it. And so Pastor Starr suggested, why don't I go to the room with Rodney, with Mother, and let's see what happens. So in the room, Pastor Starr, as who Pastor always have been, and someone that I know, a very kind, very gentle, and non-judgmental, and just asked Rodney, Rodney, what's going on? And after a few minutes, Rodney started crying, and he said, I don't really want to write about my summer because every day I have to go to prison with my mother to visit my father and my uncle. Just think about it. The judgments, the burials, and the shackles carried by Rodney at that moment was released. Sisters and brothers, I believe that is how Jesus Christ treats each one of us. That's the gift that we receive from our baptism. That is, at each time in our lives, the society may look at us differently. Our friends and family may look at us differently because of whatever happens to us, rightly or wrongly. And sometimes those self-imposed or other-imposed shackles, stigma, and prejudgment and discriminations could draw us down and burden us and rip us of our life. But thank God that's not how Jesus treats us. Jesus promises no matter what happens in our life, no matter how bad things are, Jesus will always be with us, walk with us, and picking us up. Not taking advantage of us, not pushing us off the cliff because of our vulnerability, but always gentle and forgiving and embracing, and always lift us up and helping us to unshackle all that which burdened us. And to me, that's freedom. That freedom is truly the living water that is the spring that gushing up and give us life abundant. Sisters and brothers, when things are tough, remember that. Remember that the living water of Christ is never far away. But sisters and brothers, always also remember to use that power of living water for others who are suffering from these shackles. And in a society now that is so divided and divisive because of ideology, political affiliations, and all kinds of things, Jesus' living water of hope that unshackles all barriers and discrimination is even more important. At all times, please remember, the water that we are baptized into will not make us thirst, but instead will be that wellspring, the water that gushing up in us, in ourselves, within us, and give us life.